Well, thanks for having me out today. As Chris said, my name is Brent Lauinger. I'm about a 10-year realtor, just shy of 11 years actually, and in that time, kind of went forward on the software side of things and developed a couple systems that, at the end of the day, will hopefully make your lives a little bit easier. So, what I'm going to go through today is there is a substantial component of this system that the association is providing for you. Obviously, part of that is going to be a forms alternative. So you have your web forms, now you also have this as an option. And then a couple other services that we're kind of rolling in there for you free of charge as well. Your document management, some CRM functionality, and some transaction stuff. So what we're going to do today is I'm just going to kind of take you through the basics, show you what the forms look like so you can actually see those. As of this morning, you can all log into this, and I'll show you how to do that in just a second, and actually get in there and start using some of the forms that are in there. We are missing one form right now. It's Form 100. That, I believe, is going to be going in tomorrow or Saturday. So every other form in here is live, and you can get in there and start trying things out. That's the purchase contract, right? Form 100? Yes, the purchase contract. So we have to do a couple quick tweaks on it, so we didn't want to put it in there just yet. Now, as far as signing into our system goes, we know, because of our agreement with the association, who all of you are. So you can actually sign in with your existing board credentials. I believe Matrix is going to have a link on it to access the site from within there. Or if you happen to find yourself on our site, you can just go right to sign in. You don't need to do the sign up. And when we click on that, off on the right-hand side, there's a logo that says ASR members log on here. When you click on that, you're going to pop in the same credentials you use to access every other one of your systems here in the province, and that's going to sign you in and get you the forms access. Now, once you log in, this is what you're going to see. Now, obviously, we're a little bit more than just a form system. We're also providing you storage options and things like that, courtesy of ASR. So when you first log in, really what you're looking at here is our representation of kind of your filing cabinet, a way to have us structure your transactions for you. Now, on the left-hand side, we have basically our customer list. Again, this is kind of a light CRM. And when we click on that customer, it expands out, shows you transactions for the customer. And then you can select a transaction, and it will then expand out and show you any documents that you've created for this specific customer. So again, it's us kind of filing things for you, so it's organized in for the most part, a logical sense, and you have quick access to any of the documents that you've stored, and you're not having to move things from system to system. Yeah, absolutely. Question. Oh, yes, the question's about, and sorry, I'm repeating the question because we're also broadcasting to a webinar. The question is, if you do first sign in, there's a little black box that tries to kind of walk you through things. There's a little X in the top right-hand corner of it. It might be really small. Click that and it'll go away. No problem. So I'll kind of guide you through how this works, and then we're going to go creating a form here. First things first in the system, if you want to add a client, we try and make this straightforward. There's an Add Client button. You can add any of your contact details. This is, again, provided to you for free. You don't need to do anything. You have access to this. You can pop in their information and save it, and that person or that customer or client then shows up on our left-hand side here. Next step we want to do here is add a transaction. So this is really like your file folder today. Everything is unlimited here. If you have some investor that's done 100 deals with you, you could have 100 transaction folders in there, all with different stuff in them. So I'll go and I'll quickly add a transaction here. And save that. And now I can begin either adding documents or building documents. Now, one other thing you can do with this is you can upload any document into the system. That's provided for you as well. If it's on your computer, you can click this Add Document button. If it's a CMA that you've got in Word and you want to store it, think Dropbox type storage, that's ultimately what we do. You can upload it right into here and associate it with the customer in a transaction. The alternate option, of course, is to begin using the form system that's built within here. So if I click on this Add Document here, you'll see there's a Launch Forms button. And this is going to take us right into the Forms library. This is just a welcome message. It may have news updates. Maybe if there's an updated form or something like that, they may put that kind of information on this. And really, this is what we're looking at when it comes to the form system itself. Now, obviously, you're familiar with web forms. You're going to notice this looks a fair bit different than what you'd expect out of that side of things. Really, what we tried to do is take a lot of the requests that realtors have been asking for and roll it into this. And the first thing is how it searches and really enhancing how you're able to find and locate the form that you want to see. So when you first come in here, this is just an alphabetized list of every form available to you. There's two modes of searching. One is I can type a form name into this search box, and it'll start filtering this list. It's what we call a forward search. It'll start filtering as you type, so it's eliminating down to forms that match that criteria. Now, the other probably easier way of searching is to use categories, and that's all these keywords kind of below here. And when we put forms into the system, we assign them to a group of categories ultimately. So if I'm looking for all residential forms, I can click on residential. That's all it's showing me now is residential. If I want to expand on that, I can say, well, I'm looking for residential seller. Now it's only showing me the residential seller forms. I can change that to purchase if I want. Now it's got my purchase form. So you can really click on a number of words there to filter down to a specific group of forms that you're looking for. Again, if you wanted to do commercial, click commercial. Now it's all commercial stuff. So you can basically select as many of these as you want to really filter to the form set that you're looking for. Any questions up to this point? Yep, it's two of them actually. We have that one, and then we actually have one, I believe, under Regina. But yeah, that's it. Regina has their own limited dual agency, I believe. So there's technically two of them, but that's yours there. Yeah, every form you can find in web form should be in our system, minus form 100, which is going in Saturday. So everything else is in. Any other questions up to this point? Good. So looking at this, now that I've filtered to the specific group of forms that I might be looking for, to select the document, all I really have to do is click on it. And when I click on it, you see it's kind of cut off on the left here underneath this bar, but it's adding to what we call our selected forms box. So it's showing me all the forms that I've got selected. If I want to get rid of it, I can click off on it, it goes away. So what I'm going to do at this point is click on all the forms that I want for this specific deal. So I can go and click on whatever ones it might be. And you see it just keeps appending them down that left-hand side there under my selected forms. So I'll just do a couple of them here. Now that I've got them selected, there's three options on the left-hand side. One says download. You're going to use that if you intend to print this blank document and take it with you somewhere. This is going to do exactly what it says. It's basically a download print. It's a blank form. Take it to a coffee shop, handwrite it if you want to do that. Now, option number 2 here that says create is the ability to create templates. So what you may want to do down the road is select your normal forms that you might use in a listing or a purchase, your 3 or 4 forms or whatever it happens to be. And once you select them, you can click this create button, and it's going to ask you to give it a name, so you can call it a listing package or purchase or whatever it might be. And when you save it, you can see there's a template section just here on the left-hand side. It's going to show up under there. So the next time you come in, instead of searching for all the forms, just click on your template, and whatever you've got saved to it is going to open up. Now, one of the advantages here is if the association goes in and makes changes to any of their forms, your template gets that update automatically. The next time you open that template, it's going to have the most recent version of that document in it. So you're always going to be working with the most current, accurate version. Questions on that? Okay. Sorry? No, anything you can do in our system is unlimited. So you could create as many templates as you want. Okay, now if we want to move forward and actually populate this document or put information into this document, we're going to go ahead and click right on the populate button over here. Now, right out of the gate, and like web forms, it's going to ask if we would like to pre-populate with MLS data. So we can go ahead and pop our listing ID in there, hit populate form with data, and it will pull as much information in as it can to populate that form for you. We do get this feed direct from local boards, so it does have a fair amount of data in it. I don't know what the exact list is currently, but we're pulling a lot more than what web forms would today. Alternately, if I just want to go and fill out this form without doing that, I'm going to go continue without data. And it's going to take me right into the form itself. Now this is where obviously filling it out looks a little bit different. In web forms today, it shows you a PDF. We're obviously not taking that approach. What we're showing you is every available field, in this case on the contract of purchase and sale, that you can put information into. So we can go through and type this whole form out from here. Now we do this for a couple of reasons. One is, for any of you that are on a mobile device right now, whether it's an iPad or your phone or whatever it is, you can do this from our site without installing any additional applications. Go to it, fill it out, it's fine. The second reason we take this approach is for what we call dynamic forms. And what that means is that this form will actually grow based on the content that you enter into it. So if you look at a PDF document, you run out of space in, say, an additional terms box, you just run out of space. It doesn't do anything. You do an addendum, attach it. What's going to happen in here is you can type as much as you want. It'll grow to accommodate whatever you type. So if you type in 1.5 pages of additional terms, it'll adjust itself so that it can put that in there for you. The contract at the end of the day might have an extra page. It might be 4 pages instead of 3 or 5 instead of 4 or whatever it might be. But all that content's going to be in there, and it's in a legal format, so you can just type away. It grows it. It doesn't change the font size. Yeah, so if you typed in 20 pages of, you'd have ended up with a 23 or 4 page contract or whatever it might be. Questions? Yeah, you can see every available field. So if one's blank, you can easily recognize, am I missing this, or is this just one I don't need to put information into? So it's more, yeah, exactly, an itemized view almost of here's what you can put on this. Start putting it on, I guess. So I'm going to go through. I'm not going to fill this whole thing out here, but I will add just a little bit of information. Trying to remember Calgary's quarterback's name. Yeah, exactly. Was Tate one of them? I can't remember. We'll go with that. So we can go through, again, I'm not going to answer this whole thing in here. Now, do any of you use clauses and phrases today? Couple? Okay, so we're just in the process today and tomorrow of updating clauses and phrases, but we've changed the way those work as well. So you'll notice as I scroll down here, I've now gotten to a field where a clause and phrase might make sense. We append this button to a field where you might have a clause and phrase. Now this is probably empty right now, but when we click on this, this is going to load up your entire clause and phrase library of all kind of your predefined clauses and phrases. Yep, so the question that came in is, if you have your own custom clause, can you add it? The answer is absolutely. You see this little add button off to the right. We click on this, you can add whatever you want, and it'll store that for you. Close out of some of this stuff. These little black circles you may notice on the right-hand side, these are nothing more than tooltips. They do not denote required fields. If you move your mouse over it, it'll just give you information as far as what you might want to put in that specific field. So that's really all they are. Sure. Yes. Yes. So what, the question is, will it take a name of a buyer or seller, your name for that matter, and put it on other forms that you've currently got selected? Yes, it will. We've got what we call global fields. So as you start filling out Form 1, it looks at the information and tries to put it in the proper spots on all the other forms. So normal things that will match would be address, names, your name, things like that. Hmm. Yeah, it should in this. Yeah. Each one of these fields has the ability to be set as what we call a global field, which means if you put something in it, it'll put that same thing everywhere that field is found. So yes, and it should work no problem for you. You could, yeah, yeah. So it'll ultimately let you do whatever you need to do, as long as it's legal, I guess we'll say. It'll try and prevent you from doing stuff that you shouldn't be doing. But if we're talking about you want to go in and edit one of these data fields, absolutely go in and do that. Now, in this case, I've got this contract of purchase and sale, and maybe I want to move on to my next form here. You see it on the left-hand side. I don't have to save it at this point. All I have to do is click on it, and you see it's populated some info for me automatically. It put Kate in there for me because it knew who that was. It knew who my first buyer was. So that's where it's taking that information and moving it across for me. So I could go through and fill this out. I'm not going to. Now, you may notice it says last saved at 122 up here at the top. The system does have an auto-save feature in it. So as you're filling this out, it auto-saves whatever you've done every 3 minutes. So if you spill coffee on your laptop, go get a new one, log in. At worst, your document is 3 minutes old, or it was saved 3 minutes ago, so you shouldn't be missing too much information, maybe the last 3 minutes. Sorry? Uh, the question is, can you log in ultimately from 2 devices at once? Yes, you can. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to say I'm done filling out this document here, and now I actually want to create this as a PDF. And again, you'll notice no save buttons, and that's because we want you to go take a look at it first. And that's what this preview button up at the top is for. So when I click on that, now it takes me into the actual document itself. And what you'll notice is you can now see that static information, that stuff that you couldn't see when it was listing those fields. You can see all that in here now. If you prefer this view, which is more like what a PDF would look like, you can fill the whole thing out from here as well. You can click into any one of these boxes and type away. All the features I told you about it growing and all that stuff, same thing applies here. It's just a different way of filling it out. If you want to see the whole context of the form, go right into preview mode, fill it out, and away you go. Yeah, we're working on a form that isn't live yet. It was my accident. Yes. Yeah. 200. Okay, so from here now, if we want to generate this, now we see that we've got some save buttons up at the top. So one of them says save editable form. Now this obviously is, you're not quite done filling it out, but you're not going to finish it right now anyways. You're going to come back later and do it. You're going to select to save this as an editable form. Now because we do some document storage, we're going to ask you where would you like to put this specific document. Let's organize this while we're doing it. So you would go through and say, well, it's for this customer in this transaction. Hit the save button, and when you want to continue filling this out, you log in, you go to wherever you saved it, open it up, and keep on filling it out. Option 2 here is to download and print this. Again, that's going to do exactly what it says it does. It's going to download this to your computer so you can print it. The note on this is it is a flattened document at that point, so it's not editable once you download it. So that's, if you've done this and you're going to print it so they can go sign it by hand, that's what you do. Again, not editable unless you're taking a pen and crossing stuff off. Now, the third and most used option is the Save PDF to Transaction. Now, this does two things. It creates a copy of the document in PDF format and an editable copy as well. That's one we're going to go with. Again, it's going to say, well, where would you like to save this to? So I'm going to select where I want it to go. And then it shows me the documents I filled out. So I'm going to say I want both of those saved. Now, again, this is us filing it for you. If you're going to save it, we may as well file it for you at the same time. Put it in a logical spot. So we get you to select that. And right now, it's basically generating these documents for us. So now under this transaction, we've got some new documents, 2 PDFs, one for each of those files. And then we have this editable file down at the bottom. So if your client phoned you and made a bunch of changes, or you spelt the name wrong, or whatever it happened to be, you can go back into this file here. It takes you right back to this view. You can make the changes you want, save them again, and you're done. If we look at the documents themselves, just open one of these up. The documents are going to look ultimately the exact same. Questions on that? My group today. Morning was much more inquisitive on the question front. Sure. Yeah, that's a good question. So the question is, if you go into the editable form and make a change and save it, what happens to these two copies? The answer is we create a new copy. We put a number after the end of it. It starts at 1 and it just kind of keeps going up. We don't make the assumption to delete or overwrite anything. It's too risky for us to guess at that. So if you want to delete these, you can certainly do that. There's infos on here. You can delete the document. You can actually rename the document. You can even archive this document, which hides it. And it kind of goes away. It's gone off the list, but it's still actually there. If I go and turn on my archive, I'll see it. So there's a number of options for that. But yeah, if you edit that editable file and save it, it'll create a new version in the event you want to store the old ones or whatever it might be. No. The editable version of this form is locked within our system. You cannot get it out of there. And that's by design. We didn't want the ability to pull an editable form out, basically as a way to ensure everyone's using an up-to-date form. Obviously, if you can download an editable copy of the form, you could technically use that even though it may not be a valid form anymore. Within our system, if you're using it, we know that you're using the most recent version of that document. Yeah. No, there's still a schedule because there may still be scenarios where you need to attach an additional schedule for who knows whatever reason. But in theory, yeah, you could, if you were typing on a schedule because you needed extra space and you didn't have it, and it's something that could go under an additional term, you could, in theory, just keep typing on additional terms and it'll just do what it needs to do. Yeah, exactly. So the question was, will it just cut you off from typing? No, it won't do that. It'll type as much as you want. We've tested it and successfully produced about a 600-page contract. So yeah, put whatever you want there. Within reason. Don't try and copy pictures and stuff in there. That's just not going to work. Any other questions? Okay, so everything you've seen me do to this point, and actually including this email option, which allows you to email these documents out from in here. It will email from your own email address, so if they reply, it comes back to you. Everything you've seen me do to this point, ASR is providing for you. So there's no cost to any of this, regardless of what you want to do. You can log in, the forms are there, you can store your documents, everything is set up and ready for you. That's all provided for you. If down the road you decide you want to take advantage of some other stuff, we do have additional services in here that you can opt into if you want. Things like electronic signatures, customer reports showing feedback, action plans, activities, checklists, all that kind of stuff is rolled into some of our premium services that if you want to take advantage of, that's your decision, you can certainly do that. There's the questions. There's two packages. We've discounted the prices. One's 20, one's 25 a month, depending on which kind of direction you want to go. They both include the electronic signatures. You do not need to go pay a DocuSign or AuthentiSign for that. We cover that cost for you, and it's all provided. Sorry, the question is what? The pricing on our plans. So the question is, how long will we keep that pricing? Indefinitely. I don't know. I don't think we're going to change it anytime soon. And if you signed up at that price, even if we adjusted it, we'd keep you there. Yes. Yeah. So the question is, what devices will this work on? Yes, absolutely anything. I'm on a Mac right now. It'll work on your iPads, on your phones in a pinch if you really need it. Any device, of course, like any software, there is some restrictions. If you're using an old version of Internet Explorer, as in Internet Explorer 9 or earlier, that is not supported, but everything else is after that. So most of you probably aren't on Internet Explorer 9. We see very few that are. All browsers are supported as well, Firefox, Chrome, pretty much everything. Yep. Yes. Yes. So right now, the signatures we have in here is we actually integrate with DocuSign. So we piggyback off of all of their security protocols as far as how it audits the signing process, how it records all that information, the method that they sign. Obviously, with the here you can't do the select style, it's just the draw. So it records all that for us and keeps that audit history. So if you need it, it's there. The calendar is kind of included. You can see it and you can use it to an extent. You can't do some other additional stuff like our automated showing feedback is triggered out of the calendar. Those are in our premium plans. And you can subscribe to it from any device. There's a little subscribe option at the bottom. So you can actually get this calendar on any device or your email calendar or whatever it might be. I'll have to take a look at it. Yeah. There very well could be. It could be how you signed up as well. I'd have to take a look at it because it may not necessarily recognize who you are at this point, depending on how you signed in the first time. So we can talk about that. Any other questions? Okay, so I'll just give you a little bit on kind of how to get started with it. Obviously, you've seen how to sign in. We recommend going in there and playing with it a little bit, create some contracts for yourself. Try not to take it to a listing tonight and use it for the very first time. Get in there and play with it a little bit first and get familiar with kind of how it works. Obviously, it's set up differently than what you know today, but we're also there to support you through that kind of process of learning. So there's a couple methods as far as getting in touch with us. There's this help button on the right-hand side. This is, you see, there's a chat with us option. If one of our guys is online, you can do a live chat with them. They can do screen sharing with you to kind of walk you through this stuff. You can also email us at any point in time. We also have phone support. And then we also have the support knowledge base up at the top. If you click on this, this has videos for everything. You can't find a thing in our system you can do that you can't find a video for in that support section. They're broken down into little minute or minute and a half videos depending on what you're trying to do. And then, like I said, if all else fails, feel free to give us a call. But absolutely, get in there, play around with it a little bit. Get familiar with it. Get stuck, phone us, maybe spend a couple minutes trying to figure it out. Don't spend an hour trying to figure it out. Just save yourself the hassle. Call us as soon as you get stuck, and we'll make sure that you're on your way. Outside of that, what we're really doing, and the association as well, is we really want to get your feedback moving forward. One of the things we can do very quickly is make changes based on your recommendations. So as you get in there, and as we continue to move down this form path, if you have recommendations, let us know. We're very, very responsive to it, and we'll obviously be sitting down with the association over however long and reviewing the information that you guys have sent in and really trying to tweak this in a manner that today and moving forward it's going to work as a great solution for you guys. And if there's no questions, I'll turn it over to Chris. Oh, one question. Yeah, so my guess is, so the question is, someone signed in and there's no forms tab up at the top. My assumption is if you happen to see that, you probably signed up at some point in time before signing in with your association membership information. So it doesn't actually know that you're a member of the association, so it's defaulting to not giving you access to forms. Come see me after. I can get that fixed pretty quickly for you. Okay, again, on that note, I'll turn it over to Chris to kind of close it out. I will stick around for a little bit, so if you have questions, I'm here, so feel free to come up and